Well, thanks, Kyle, and glad to be here with everybody on the meeting. As I said, have a few updates from the last meeting. Just to give a quick recap, when we last met, I was talking about an initiative that we were advancing within my office at Transportation Planning at MassDOT headquarters in Boston, related to the bicycle and pedestrian plans. We were putting together a scope of work for what we're calling the phase 2 of the bike and ped project implementation, or the next generation of it. We had to go through a formal application process within my office to get the grant funding. I'm happy to report that that has been approved. And at the same time, within our office, colleagues of mine were also interviewing consultants for on-call contracts. I'm sure most of you on the call are familiar with that. All of the usual players that we work with day in and day out, getting the projects done. Our Office of Transportation Planning has on-call contracts, and we offered and selected 5 different consulting firms to pull out, to be selected for exactly this kind of work. We haven't selected who yet, but I expect that in the next month we will, and we'll have someone selected for October 1st. I just wanted to basically give you a background on what we're trying to accomplish in this next phase of bike and ped project implementation. And I'll just basically read from the scope of work because it's pretty clear and concise. Since the release of MassDOT's statewide bicycle and pedestrian transportation plans in 2019, project implementation has occurred based on the created methodology from both plans, the potential for everyday biking and the potential for walkable trips, respectively. Since 2019, work is focused on data collection and project delivery, and now planning work is needed. As previously stated, the original methodologies used in the first round of bike and ped project implementation served their basic purposes of identifying where bike ped infrastructure was generally needed on roadways under MassDOT jurisdiction when prioritizing improvements for other projects. The next generation upgrade will incorporate data from recent projects, local and regional plans. As you remember, back in March, we made that solicitation for all the regional and municipal plans that were out there, so we could incorporate into this work. Our ongoing GIS work that we do internally, and other new performance measures for an even more targeted approach to identifying gaps in project selection on all roadways, not just roads under MassDOT jurisdiction, but we want to expand the reach to all roadways within the state to inform implementation of bike and pedestrian specific projects. So the result from this additional implementation will further MassDOT's goals for making cycling and walking safe, comfortable, and convenient options for travel in Massachusetts. So that is basically our MO for this next phase. And Kyle, if you'll allow me to share my screen, I can show you one of the direct results that we've updated so far. It says host disabled participant screen sharing. So I think you have to allow. Oh, it says I'm the co-host now. All right, very good. So I will bring up my screen. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Great. So the first step in this new project implementation is getting new and updated data. And I'm happy to say that over the course of, I would say like the past 6 months or so, we've been hard at work with a lot of internal MassDOT staff, as well as our partners in the Office of Performance Management and Innovation, to update the existing potential for everyday biking and potential for walkable trips, maps, and methodologies using updated streetlight data. Just a little background, streetlight data. MassDOT's been procuring the streetlight company for the past year and a half or so, to give us up to real live traffic data, as it were. And we're actually incorporating this into our future methodologies. Let me just minimize that. And so the easiest way to access these new maps and new methodologies is to go onto the public facing Massachusetts GeoDot page, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, and scroll down. I will also want to give a plug to all of the other applications that our GIS folks are just doing a phenomenal job, and there are so many different sources for data, among them the road inventory editor and the bike inventory update editor, where the general public can go and add pieces of roadway, sidewalk, or bike infrastructure if it is missing. But scrolling down to the roadways gallery is where the up-to-date maps are right now. And I'll scroll down to we still have the potential for walkable trips and everyday biking on MassDOT roadways. Those haven't changed all that much. But we also have the potential for walkable trips by regional planning agency, as well as the potential for everyday biking by regional planning agency. And the one big difference that you'll see here is that we're incorporating every road in the state now, instead of just roadways under MassDOT jurisdiction. Also, we have embedded the methodology report in here, which I'm going to click on and just highlight a couple key pieces. I'm not going to go through the entire thing just in the essence of time, but it is worth going over, especially the first paragraph. The potential for everyday walking and biking layers display latent demand for active mode trip making and are implemented in various project prioritization processes. The first editions of the layers were produced in 2017 by outside consultants using what is now outdated demand data. We were using American Community Survey data that was probably about 10 years old at this point. We were using outdated census data. So this update utilizes streetlight trip volumes and includes additional metrics to improve the accuracy and overall consistency of the measures. More importantly, bringing this process in-house allows MassDOT to regularly update the demand data and make any additional changes as needed to the measure calculation. And it goes over the original methodology. The key changes that we did include, one thing I want to highlight is the crash data. After a lot of back and forth, we've removed the crash data from the calculation for this measure. Potential for walking and biking is intended to focus on areas with high demand, regardless of actual travel behavior, and crashes only happen where cyclists and pedestrians are already biking and walking, and often high-risk roadways have no travel and aren't flagged by crash clusters. So because of that, we've removed the crash data from this measure, assuming decision-making should always be taking safety into account. And instead, we're recommending looking at these layers concurrently with MassDOT's new crash-related risk factor layers that's within the MassDOT impact crash data website portal. These layers will inform decisions based on where there's both demand and safety risks are high for biking and walking. One last thing that I will point out before I go to the maps is the visualization, because that is important in reading and interpreting the data. The original method of using the heads, tails, median is effective, but users would prefer a simplified scale. For instance, high, medium, and low, rather than the previous 9.1. We identified high potential roadways by looking at the top 10% of roadways based on the potential for walking and biking indices. Medium potential roadways represent the top 60%, and the low potentials are the remaining 40% of roadways. And with that, I'm going to move a couple things around. I can close this. This actually is handy in that it lists all 13 of the regional planning agencies that we put a border around just to make things even more simplified here. So as you can see, I'm going to zoom in. Zoom into the Old Colony region here. Not too much of a huge deviation from the original methodology, but again, we are including all roadways. As you can see, similar to the old methodology, this kind of reads like a population map, the highest demand in places like Taunton and Brockton and Plymouth. But also includes all the roadways in orange that are medium demand, and the rest of the roadways which are in yellow. Much more simplified process. And also this new methodology, I'll point out, more closely aligns with Old Colony's active transportation study that we were looking at over the past few months as well. So hopefully we'll be using that in the future as we actually start this implementation work. I expect that we'll start in earnest on October 1st. That's when the fiscal year begins on the federal level, and the projects can proceed to go forward. So I'll stop there. If anyone has any questions on this, as far as how to access it, what to look for. This is just at the very beginning process, so we're still getting a lot of feedback from folks on the internal side of MassDOT, and just wanted to make this available to everyone here today. Okay, if I'm not hearing anything, feel free to browse all the maps. Let me know if you have any thoughts. I also wanted to let folks know of a couple important conferences coming up. Can you see the slide, the new one now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we have a couple big conferences coming up that I'm directly involved with. Most of you have been to and attended the Moving Together conference. I'm happy to report that we are back in person again this year after a 2-year absence, back at the Park Plaza Hotel on Tuesday, November 1st. I'm also happy to report that Old Colony Planning Council will be there presenting on their active transportation study as part of a hot topics and transportation panel that is always popular and that we host every year. Just want to bring some other topics that we're highlighting that have been confirmed. Shared streets and spaces projects under $150,000, a state of the practice involving community engagement that we have Joshua Franklin Hodge. He's the new chief of streets from the city of Boston, who's going to be talking about the whole Boston Open Streets program that they rolled out this past summer. I plan on attending the last one of the season this Saturday, where they're going to be blocking off Dorchester Avenue through several blocks in Dorchester. It should be an awesome time. We're also going to be focusing on long-range plans, where we've invited the state of Rhode Island to also be on this panel. As always, we have a Mass Trails session in the morning. We'll also be talking about microtransit, leveraging MassDOT funding programs. This is going to be a big one this year, especially with all the bipartisan infrastructure law funding programs that have rolled out since 2021. Also highlighting gateway cities, where we're going to be highlighting amongst other places, the city of Barnstable. Not many people realize that, but on Cape Cod, they are an incorporated city and a gateway city at that. We also have a full panel on GeoDot happenings from our GIS staff. A study about the Route 128 I-95 corridor between Lexington and Waltham that should be great. A safety mega session that's going to round out the entire day, and plus virtual site visits. We have the League of American Bicyclists coming up to give the morning keynote speech to talk about why they chose Massachusetts in their #1 rankings for bike-friendly states. So we're really excited to have them. Also, Secretary Tesler will be giving the lunchtime keynote speech. And if that weren't enough, just a mere 10 days later, the Mass Trails Conference will be back also after a 2-year absence in person. That will be taking place Saturday, November 12th at the Great Wolf Lodge up in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. People may know about Great Wolf Lodge because it is a water theme park, indoor water park that has become pretty popular. They also have a conference center. We'll be holding the conference center there. For those of you who have attended the Mass Trails Conference before, much more focused on rail trails, greenways. We have a big contingency of hikers, especially around the Bay Circuit Trail, snowmobilers that use state park facilities. So this is much more trails focused. It is also a great event. I think this is the 5th or 6th one. I will be there probably presenting on Mass Trails initiatives as well. Again, that's Saturday, November 12th, just about a week and a half after the Moving Together conference. So a lot going on this fall, a lot of great work being rolled out, and looking forward to it. And hopefully we'll see some or all of you there.
All right, thank you very much, Pete. Does anybody have any questions for him?
The moving together, it's in person, but also a hybrid option.
Yeah, there is a hybrid option. I expect that we will get people probably from other New England states that opt not to come in, and maybe folks that can't pull themselves away. But yeah, in this day and age, we felt that after the past 2 years of just being completely virtual, that some people might just want the hybrid option. So we will involve both. Although for all of you who've attended the Moving Together conference, you all know how beneficial it is. It literally is the event of the year for active transportation, for biking, walking, and transit. Everyone attends. The last one we had in 2019, there were over 1,000 attendees. It really is the networking forum of the entire year for active transportation. And I know a lot of people that are really excited to be back in person, myself included. So.
Boy.
Anybody else?
I would advise Charlie to give the whole staff a day off and let them attend.
Done.
All right, well, we can move on to the next slide, Shared Streets and Spaces Grant Program Awards. The Shared Streets and Spaces Program, this provides small and large grants for communities to quickly implement or expand improvements to sidewalks, curbs, streets, on-street parking spaces, and off-street parking lots in support of public health, safe mobility, and renewed commerce in their communities. And the communities that received awards for this round was Abington, Avon, Brockton, Bridgewater, Plymouth, and Brockton Area Transit. For Abington, they received just shy of $200,000 to install ADA compliant curb ramps, crosswalk, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, speed feedback signs, and they're going to be to reconstruct a portion of a sidewalk along Thicket Street and Old Randolph Street. Both Avon and Brockton received $50,000 for snow removal equipment for ped and bicycle facilities. Bridgewater received $200,000 to replace, widen, upgrade 3 sidewalks on town-owned streets. It runs through Bridgewater State University campus, and that serves as an important pedestrian connection to the MBTA commuter rail. Plymouth, they received just shy of $200,000 to reduce vehicular speeds and improve pedestrian safety through expanded curbs, RRFBs, improved signage visibility, and realigned and shortened crosswalks at 2 densely populated locations near schools. They also received $48,500 for speed feedback messaging signs and $28,000 for PED-activated warning devices. And along with the communities, BAT also received some funding. They received $163,300 to improve one of BAT's busiest stops. It's at the Westgate Mall in Brockton. They're going to be tripling the area designated for buses with an extended accessible platform and by installing shelters, wayfinding signs, and bicycle racks. Next is the Mass Trails Grant Awards that went to first Hanover. They got $379,000 with a match of $250 for the Hanover Branch Rail Trail extension. Plymouth received $100,000 with a match of $300,000 for Seaside Trail improvements and extension. And then Stoughton was awarded $60,925 with a match of $26,424 for the Bird Street Memorial Conservation Lands trail improvements. Does anybody have any questions regarding the last couple slides?
Kyle?
Yeah,
So something that we really enjoy reviewing is like the MassDOT Complete Streets portal, how it has the map of the Commonwealth and links to projects that have been awarded in tier 1, 2, and 3 with complete streets. Are you aware, does Mass Trails have any type of similar geographic interface that all of the stuff is in a geospace somewhere online?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Charlie. If you'll allow me to share my screen again.
yeah.
All right. This is the answer to your question is yes. And let me bring something up here. Where is it? This was. Can you see that?
No, not yet.
No.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me go back and reshare again. How about now?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is interesting. This was done by an outside third party. My friend Tom Kelleher. Some of you might know him. He is a big rail trail advocate. He is kind of like one of the co-founders of the Assabet River Rail Trail out in the central Massachusetts. And he has made really good use of his retirement time. He has come up with this great Mass Trails grant map that is, absolutely perfect for this occasion. And to Kyle's point, I'll click on that. Here is the Hanover Branch Rail Trail Extension grant from this year with the description in it and the match. Pretty great resource as you zoom out a little. There's the one that was awarded in 2019 to Marshfield for their rail trail section there. And Plymouth also was awarded one in 19. He hasn't updated the one for 22 yet, but I expect that he will. This area is a little bit light on grants compared to, say, Cape Cod, which get funded consistently every year just because they have so many rail trail projects going. But yeah, again, this is another great resource that came from outside developers, and in this case, a great resource for the Mass Trails grants. I don't think all of them are included. I think just the ones that are on rail trails, which is the majority of them. But there are some instances where we have funded just regular greenways that don't follow an old railroad corridor. But another great resource that I use, and I'll certainly drop this link in the chat if someone hasn't done it already.
Yeah, Sean actually went ahead and did that. So thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me the resources that we come across, internally and externally.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. That's really helpful because one of the things we're always looking in is like filling in the gaps in the network. So it's, a graphic like that can say, well, we're applying for technical assistance in this area and we have adjacent communities with these projects and provide that linkage.
Yeah, definitely.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bill Fitzgerald.
One thing we did looking at an open space plan, thank you, OCPC, looked at connections within and outside of the community. And I had the same kind of comment to MassGIS. It'd be nice to have, there are numerous types of mapping out there for different types of trails, planned trails, rail, bike, whatever. It'd be nice to have them all on MassGIS. And we did some overlay of, say, EJ communities, and then there's also the regional trails versus local. And it was a bit of a tough work. It'd be great to have it in one place, and I think it would be exactly what Charlie's talking about to help look at regional potential connections and future projects.
Yeah, I mean, my experience with MassGIS is that they have not updated their bicycle or trails layer in a while. I remember looking at it earlier this year, and I think the last, I think it had been updated in like 2014, which is like that's it seems like an eon ago. I mean, we've added so much infrastructure since then that it is definitely in their best interest to update it. I can only offer up what MassDOT offers with our bicycle facility inventory. I know that I have shown you guys or displayed it before, but again, I'll be happy to drop a link in the chat screen. This is all of the off-road trails, not only trails, but bicycle infrastructure throughout the entire state, bike lanes, separated bike lanes, pedestrian bicycle priority streets. And it's pretty comprehensive. We still update this every week, and also has the benefit of having all of the MassDOT projects that are funded for construction and under construction too.
Yeah, I saw some of that, and it's great. And I know MassGIS they have the new Muni Mapper, which is much better than the previous Oliver stuff. And I think it's a matter of time, just working with them and resources that's starting to link even externally to your DOT database, which is great.
Yeah, I definitely encourage that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to projects, highlighting a couple projects in the OCPC region. And this will be Sean Bailey.
Yes, thank you, Kyle. For anybody who may not know me, my name is Sean Bailey. I'm a senior transportation planner with Old Colony Planning Council, and I will be talking briefly about a couple of projects, as Kyle mentioned, in our region that involve bicycle and or pedestrian accommodations. The first one is corridor improvements on Route 123 Belmont Street here in the city of Brockton, Phase 3. Anybody who is familiar, lives in or works in Brockton likely knows about this project. They have already completed phases 1 and 2 over the previous few years. They are currently working on Phase 3 over by Brockton High School and the fairgrounds. Work on this project includes resurfacing and box cut widening along Route 123 to provide a consistent roadway cross-section, bicycle accommodating shoulders, and accessible sidewalks. Traffic signals will be reconstructed to provide ADA accessible elements. There are a couple of intersections that have not previously had crosswalks to allow pedestrians safely to cross the street. They will be put into this project once it is complete. And according to the MassDOT project information website, this project currently sits at 70% complete. So not much further until that one is finished. The other project is in the town of Easton, which is corridor improvements along Depot Street. This project is intended to address deteriorated pavement and multimodal accommodation through reconstruction of Depot Street, which the corridor goes from Newell Circle to Washington Street, which is Route 138. It will be minor widening to provide bicycle accommodation as well as reconstructed sidewalks and extensions. The project is 2 miles in length. A traffic signal is proposed at the Depot Street, Center Street, and Porter Street intersection. And this project will also include drainage upgrades and new pavement markings and signage. And currently this project sits at 76% complete. And if anybody is interested in looking at these projects as well as any other projects in our region, I have just entered in the chat the location to find project information on MassDOT projects. You can filter out projects by municipality, MassDOT district, or MPO. And every project has a 6-digit number. And if you click on the number for any of the projects, it will give you a project description as well as updated updated progress completion. And does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, and I saw Barbara LaChance from MassDOT District 5 was on the call. I didn't know if she had any most current updates on these couple projects.
Yep, I see she's still on the call. Yep.
I am. Off the top of my head, I don't, but I can go and do some digging for you right now. See what we
Okay.
got.
All right, well, we can come back to that. So we're going to go into the discussion on bike and ped issues. First, I want to just give a brief demo of the non-motorized database system on the MassDOT MS2 site. I'm just going to share that real quick. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the non-motorized database system on the MS2 site. This shows permanent bike ped counters in Massachusetts. There's only one in our region in Brockton, and you can see on the map here. But this main page, it gives the highest average daily traffic locations. Obviously, most of those are in Boston. It gives you monthly volume, hourly traffic, a weekday, and hourly traffic on the weekend. And then you can filter it by community, so you can filter out Brockton. And then this gives you, it's on Center Street. It gives you eastbound, westbound. Again, you can look at the monthly volume, hourly traffic. You can go into analysis. And you can filter this out by date. And you can get the ADT hour count, the average. Again, that's broken up by eastbound and westbound travel by bike and ped. So it's just a quick overview. It's a good resource, I think. I'm going to post this link in the chat for anybody who wants to visit this.
And Kyle, I believe at one of our previous meetings, either for BPAC or perhaps for something else, I believe it was mentioned that they were going to be adding more to our region in the near future.
Yeah, I don't know if Pete, if you had any info on that, if that was still happening or still being worked on.
It is still being worked on. Yeah, our traffic safety group. Some of you may know Ian Adams, who we hired last year. He kind of rolled out this first round of 8 counters all across the state, and I know that he and Carrie McInerney are working for like a next round of probably like another dozen, maybe even 2 dozen. I'm not quite sure on the number, but there's certainly a need for them all across the state. And yeah, that they are working through that, and I'll let you know what the progress is next meeting.
And are these are they radar counters? Is that what they're using?
Yeah, no, these are permanent counters that have to be installed in the ground, where they also do a saw cut in the pavement, install wiring in there, and there's a post that goes along right beside the road or the shared use path, and they can count bicyclists and pedestrians and make that distinction between the two.
Awesome. All right, so does anybody have any comments, concerns, issues that they'd like to discuss?
I'm still looking for updates for you on these 2 construction projects, but I can make sure that for the next meetings, if you like, I can be more prepared and have actual construction updates for you guys at the meetings as we.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I kind of put you on the spot there.
Yeah, Barbara, what I can do for the next meeting is for these meetings, I pick a couple of projects that are in our region. What I'll do is I'll pick my next projects ahead of time, and I'll give you a heads up. I'll send you an email and ask if you have any up-to-date updates.
That'd be great. Yeah, especially for the ones that are definitely under construction. We have more of updates for the ones under design. You know, I don't get. I get weekly. Sometimes I get weekly updates for construction. Sometimes I don't. So, but yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, speaking of projects, that Safe Routes to School project in Stoughton on Central Street, do you know if that's completed or not?
I don't. Let me look it up on, since I've still got. It looks like it's still under construction. Let me see if it has. Okay, it does not state anything about being finished, but at the same time, it does not have a percentage under progress for completion. So it could be completed, but I'm not entirely positive. Barbara, do you happen to know if that project is completed or if it's still ongoing? I'm not sure if you're trying to say anything, Barbara, but you're muted. Okay, we will try to get an update for everybody.
Yeah, we'll find out for next meeting. So our next meeting will be 3 months from now in December. No final date yet, but I'll be sending out a calendar invite with the webinar link. And yeah, if nobody has anything else, I think that'll be an
Yeah, Kyle, can I share one more thing before we wrap?
yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again.
Okay.
And go back to MassDOT's bicycle facility inventory. Just before I move off this is the I think this is the project that Sean was referring to, the Route 123. I think it's 609 410. Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the project that you highlighted. It may be.
You're muted, Sean.
Sorry. The project that I mentioned was on Route 123 on the west side of Brockton, over by the high school.
Okay. Yeah, this is a different MassDOT project. I think this is one of the projects that actually spun out of the bicycle plan to make upgrades on this stretch, these intersection improvements. And you know, while I have it, it's a great interactive feature where you can click on you know, the each segment, and it will tell you it's highlighted in yellow, it's funded for construction, and then similar, it'll kick you right to the project URL. Yeah, so this is the one that's happening in the summer of 2024, intersection improvements, related work at Center Street, Carey Street, and Lyman Street. Again, we're continually adding MassDOT projects to here with bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. There's another one, I think if I scroll a little bit left, here's one in the town of Easton that's on Route 138. This one is also funded for construction, and the intersection improvements, summer of 2025. That's another great thing is, you know, we have the 5-year tip, and once a project is funded for construction, it goes on this map. And yeah, another really cool resource. One last thing, if I can point out, and I'm really curious to see if this corridor is on anyone's radar. And I'm going to scroll a little bit further south down to West Bridgewater. And another awesome thing about the bike facility inventory is the fact that you can toggle on and off all these different layers. And one of my favorite ones are the old US topo maps, because they show old abandoned rail corridors. These maps are probably about 50 years old, but they still provide a valuable resource. And I'm just looking to see if anyone is aware of this railroad corridor, which starts at Matfield Junction, which is a neighborhood in West Bridgewater, and kind of goes all the way across West Bridgewater for almost about 6 miles, all the way to Southeastern. I don't really know anything about this corridor. I know it's in your guys' area, but is there anything afoot? Is it completely been built on or built over the years? Does anyone know the status of this?
Yeah, we mentioned that in our active transportation study, and our GIS guy Andrew, he alerted us that it was there, and it was a long, it's quite a long route, and so we put in the plan, like, to use portions of it for possible future development for bicycle paths.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
This could be a huge opportunity, especially in the Old Colony region, where, you know, it is, compared to the rest of the state, pretty short on dead or abandoned rail corridors, just for the simple fact that most of the rail corridors in this region are in active use, as commuter rail lines and freight lines. So to come across a stretch of like 6 miles is kind of a revelation, and I would love to see most, maybe even all of it developed someday. But of course, we have to get the folks from West Bridgewater and Easton, even have it brought to their attention for them to want to champion something like this. So maybe we can invite them to the December meeting and get their take on it.
Sure.
Yeah, and Pete, to go back on earlier, the project in Brockton that I was mentioning was project number 608088.
Okay. Thank you for that.
And I see that Bill Fitzgerald has his hand raised.
Yeah, I don't mean to be too obnoxious. If you're looking at regional projects that could, be like at the vision level and move on. One thing we did, we were looking at a bypass on the Saltonstall Trail with trails funding. And the second round was talking more about tying in, Bay Path and the big regional systems, which is great. But we were looking at, our project stuff, seeing how it could tie in. And we noticed in our area, Randolph, Brockton, Avon, there really wasn't anything close. And we also overlaid EJ districts, and we sent it to Mandarin Mass Trails, and she agreed that it's a huge hole in this part of the state. And we've got a lot going at TW Field Park too, with Wildlands Trust and OCPC. So, I can't commit a lot of time to this, but I think that is a great project to look at in OCPC and the surrounding areas, as far as how can these communities that can really use this recreational access tie into that statewide system, which is obviously priority for funding, and we all know there's a lot of new money out there. And Amanda had offered to meet with us at some point to go over this and talk in more detail. So
excellent. I'm glad it's on her radar.
So I just think it could. I don't understand totally the mission of this group, but I know OCPC's mission, and it could be a great project to put forward.
Agreed.
Thank you, Bill. So does anybody have any topics they would like to hear discussed at the next meeting? They don't have to bring them up now. You could, if you have any ideas, you can email myself or Sean Bailey. All ideas are welcome. So
there is something I've been bringing up during the 2 times we discussed bicycle at OCPC. Something I've been bringing up when we discussed, but sorry, let me turn this off.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, the phone going off.
I said there's something I've been bringing up. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. During OCPC meeting, which is bicycle seat has not been researched. Manned bicycle seat is opposite of what it should be. That is, and the state can talk to the bicycle manufacturers. They look into it. They've not looked at bicycle seats since, I don't know whether it's 18 something or what. Because what you have now is very dangerous for males to be using because of prostate problem. So they need to research and redesign the bicycle seat.
Yeah, I have heard that that issue. I don't know too much about it, but that's definitely something we can discuss at the next meeting. I'll do some research on it, see what I find.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you, Pete, for being here and giving us some updates. Thank you, everybody else, for being here, and you'll be hearing from me soon. The recording for this meeting, I'll probably have up there on YouTube in probably a week or so. All right, thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.